They can't hear you guys, by the way, in the background. Good evening and welcome tonight. We are getting things ready here. We're having a little technical difficulty. We've got a couple of things going on because we were going to be doing a group session here. And right now, I'm having a little problem with getting a capture window. For some reason, something's not working right with that, and I don't know what that is. So it isn't functioning the way we would like it to be doing, and I don't know how I can grab that and cheat and make this work. It worked earlier today when I was practicing, but now, wouldn't you know, it's just not functioning. Hopefully you guys had a chance to jump into the chill room tonight and check out Perfect Portals, one of our sponsors. They were on at the top of the hour, and then Danny Max from Max Photo Booth and DJ Console Design there. He came in and they did some things there. Yeah, it should hopefully get past that here, and you guys will see in just a second. Oh, there's a new version of something that just popped up. Great. Yeah, we can't do those on the fly. That's just not going to happen. So, how can I get this to go from here to there? Can we? Can we? No, I can't do it that way. I don't know if I can. Unless I do this. Hold on. There could be this weird, really jerry-rigged version of it. So if I do this, change my video to, just hang on, Jay. I'll get you up here in just a second. So if I change and give you guys my other camera, this is going to be so sketch. Okay, so now this is the FaceTime one, and it looks terrible, but that's okay. And then if I take this one, and if I can go and literally do, this is so bad. Okay, I'm going to turn the microphones on.
Cut it. I'm like, it'll never be long again. Let me just enjoy.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So this is going to work. I got to go grab a little tripod for those of you. Hold it. Wait a second. I might have a heater. This is so sketchy.
So apropos. This is
oh my gosh. This is
real world wedding experience.
Make it work. We're gonna make something work here tonight.
Do you have the mic stand? No, nobody told me about a mic stand. Hold on, I have an extra speaker stand and gaff tape.
Yeah, I want to go grab that gaff tape. Oh man, this has got to be. This is almost as much production quality as Okay. Oh, I'm not going the right direction with this. Anyway, so they can now see everybody. They can see us all. So great. That's wonderful. I got to drop this wire down here so it's not going to be binding as much. And they can see all my icons on that. Yeah, this is super high tech. Okay, I'm turning you guys up. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight. This is going to be, this is like watching a bad YouTube video. But, you're not here for the video. You're here for the educational content and the audio. And everybody's got their, so joining me tonight, we're going to be talking weddings from around the country. And going from, we've got to my right, which you guys look like on my left, but Jay Brannan. Good evening, Jay.
How are you?
Doing well.
Thanks for inviting me here.
Then on my left, I've got Michael Lenstra coming to us from Iowa. Then down to the lower right, we have Rachel Lynch. Rachel's with us, yay! And then right kind of below to my left would be Mike Schnauder coming to us from Louisiana. So
hello, everyone.
We are going to go and jump right into it. We've got I kind of gave everybody a little kind of the questions, directions of what I was thinking for tonight. And every time I bump this, it's going to be in the way. So we're going to move that and make sure. So what I wanted to do tonight is I want to talk about the different types of the way weddings are different from here to across the country. And we're going to kind of get into some of those. And my notes aren't up. Perfect. I think we're good now. So let's kind of start. We're going to go. Let's start kind of going clockwise. We'll start Jay, and then we'll Michael, Mike, and Rachel as we kind of go with the question. So first off, can you guys give us a kind of an overview of the main elements of a wedding and in the order that you typically do them in your market? So Jay, kind of go through a wedding day for us quickly.
Okay. Majority of my weddings include ceremony. So for me, it starts with prelude, then ceremony, family, bride and groom photos, which means I'm now doing cocktail. Next event is to get the guests to either move from the area of cocktail to dinner, grand entrance. It's 50-50 out here whether I do just the bride and groom or wedding party and bride and groom. I haven't introduced parents in probably 2 or 3 years. Once we get into dinner, if it's not near the dance floor, we usually don't do any dances or anything. Toasts are always at the end of the meal. We then leave the meal, and the majority of venues I work now like to do the cake, then first dance, father, daughter, mother, son, some open dance, and then if they're going to do honeymoon, garter bouquet, anniversary, and then wrap things up.
Okay. Excellent.
Actually, real quick,
Yep.
the last 3 weddings I've done, the only 3 this year so far that have had this have done the shoe game. So I can already see that that's starting to come back. I haven't done the shoe game in probably 3 or 4 years, but I've done the last 3 weddings have all wanted to do the shoe game. So
That's coming back, and we'll talk more about that a little bit farther down the show. Michael Lenstra.
Okay. Well, as John said, I'm located here in Iowa in the Midwest. I'm in a pretty rural setting. Our county is like 617 square mile, but within that, there's only like a population of just over 97,000. I think there's actually maybe only Dubuque is the only town over 2,500. Default wedding reception time here in this area seems to be 5 to 11. Week in, week out, no matter what banquet hall we're at, it seems to be 5 to 11. 5 to 6 is typically cocktail hour. Then, depending on where we're at, some places have the cocktail hour right in the same banquet facility that they're having the dinner. Other ones will have it maybe in a little bit different area, whether it be a hotel or an event center. But about 6 o'clock, we get everybody rounded up. We're seated for dinner. We typically do introductions, maybe a blessing before dinner. Dinner is served. After dinner, we turn the microphone over to the best man, maid of honor, maybe anyone else that wants to say a few words, maybe the parents. And then there's some dessert. Cake cutting, it's been a 50-50 here this year for me. Some of them still, and again, it really depends on the banquet facility. The banquet facility seems to be the one that's really controlling the timeline. Some of them still have the cake cutting done after the introduction, some of them after dinner. But either way, we go into dessert, and once the tables are cleared off, then we start in with those special moment dances. The first dance, father, daughter, mother, son. A lot of times, even though they have not asked for it, I'll invite the wedding party out just to kind of have them help me kick things off. And then it's pretty much open dancing till 11 p.m.
Excellent. Mike Schnauder.
All right. I'm in Louisiana, and things are a little more laid back here, but they do change a little bit when I'm in the center of the state and along I-10, so in the lower portion. But we go to New Orleans quite a bit, and with New Orleans being a destination city, we get traditions from all over the place coming in. So things are a little different over there. But I'm going to talk specifically more about home, which is Lafayette, Acadiana, land of Zydeco. If you ever heard of that. As Jay and everybody else said, the ceremony is pretty much the same. Prelude, processionals, interludes, recessionals. Photography takes over after that while the guests go into the reception area. Around here, we don't have a cocktail hour. And so everyone will go into the one location that's going to be for the reception. And it's typically a 4-hour event. When we get to NOLA and other places, it turns into 3 with a cocktail hour, but we'll talk about that later. But and then as far as the order goes, it's 50-50 between coming in and doing the formal dances first, and then going the buffet opening and going to cake for pictures, and then open dancing. And then I call what Jay referred to, after the open dancing later on, I refer to it as the second half, the football analogy. Where we have the bouquet, the garter, the money dances, the shoe game is coming back. There's some other things there too, and then usually some sort of a send off, sparklers, glow sticks, etc. And going back to the intros after the ceremony pictures are over and the couple is coming in, More often than not, we're doing a large group introduction of the wedding party as one large group, and then followed by the couple by name. But if they vary from that, like maybe one out of every 50 weddings I do will actually want everybody named and coming in as couples as they walk down the aisle. So that's pretty much it.
Gotcha. Excellent. What time, Jay? Did you give us what time your events? Mike Lenstra said at 11 o'clock when he ends. What is your ending time typically, Jay?
I didn't. Real quick, I'm in Temecula, California, Southern California. So I'm an hour north of San Diego, an hour and a half southeast of LA. In my area, in the county I'm in, they have a hard 10 o'clock for noise. So the majority of my weddings, the ceremony start at either 3:30 or 4, and they have to end the night by 10. And most venues now are having me do last song between 9:30 and 9:45.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Mike Schnauder, beginning and end quick, and then we'll jump to Rachel, and she can...
7 to 11 is the most common time, 6 to 10 otherwise. In my area, very few noise restrictions, although there are a few, much more prevalent in New Orleans area. So yeah, it's pretty much party, and we don't have anything we do have noise ordinances that we have to comply with, but there's no hard shutdown at any particular time. So if a couple wanted to go to 1 o'clock in the morning, they could.
Excellent. That's pretty much why I think closer to our area too. Rachel, give us the lowdown.
So I'm from Connecticut. Obviously, I DJ in the Northeast, so I take care of Massachusetts, New York, obviously Connecticut, even sometimes Rhode Island, so I'm kind of all over the place. 2021 was kind of an interesting year because I literally only had 2 indoor weddings at a traditional wedding venue. Everything else was moved outside to a backyard tent wedding. And if I never did another backyard tent wedding again for the rest of my life, I would be okay with it. I worked harder this year than any other year in my entire life. So the formats were a little off how they normally would be just because they were so unconventional. So I will speak to just how things typically are up here, but 2021 was just kind of its own universe. And that's the only way I can kind of explain it. So to mimic kind of Jay, we have ceremony. They're almost always on site of the venue. I haven't done a formal church ceremony in probably 5 years. They're just quick. They want a 20-minute kind of wham bam. I do. I even have some couples that aren't even writing vows. They just kind of have the officiant kind of say some nice things. Do you do? They kiss, and that's it.
Sure.
So they really don't put a lot of time and effort into the ceremony. They just kind of want to get it done and over with. After ceremony, they get whisked off to do their photos. So we do have a cocktail hour, and I've even had some extended cocktail hours because they're outdoor weddings and they want to maximize the sunset and the lighting. I've had to do cocktail like an hour and a half. And that's kind of a long time for people to kind of be listening to Rat Pack and stuff like that. So I've definitely had to kind of up my cocktail hour vibe and create this like great sing-along crate to make it a little bit more fun and interactive. So then after cocktail hour, we go into the reception. So guests are then welcomed from that space to the reception space. We will do grand introductions. I actually am doing grandparents, parents. If they can't walk in, they'll stand up at their table and we'll acknowledge them if they're still around. I unfortunately have those couples that have a 19 pair wedding party where I have, 19 different cue points. I have convinced a lot of my couples and they're totally okay with it with first names only. So that kind of simplifies it for me, but they want all their like party girl wedding party songs. So I have really complicated introductions. After introductions, we usually go into first dance. And because people, at least in my area, they want to maximize party, they just want to bang out all the formalities. So we pretty much go to their first dance, into the parent dances, and they're actually cutting the song short. So let's just say it's a 3-minute song. After about a minute and a half, they kind of shoot me a look when they're ready, and I just kind of fade it out. So they really just want to get through these. Then usually we do a blessing if there is one. we'll go into dinner. We sometimes do the toast actually during dinner, after. I haven't done a formal cake cutting. I think out of all my weddings this year, we did 2. A lot of them just want to do it in private. They want to get it cut and just get it served and be done with it. They don't want to break up the dancing. I haven't done a bouquet or garter toss in probably also 4 years, but I am doing the shoe game. As Jay suggested, it is coming back with a vengeance, and the questions are getting a lot more interesting and risque. So they breathe some life back into it. So I actually really enjoy it. Outside of that, it's party. Then either we do some type of formal send-off. And I've also been offering a private last dance for my couples, meaning if they wanted to just have one final dance after we kick everybody out of the room while the venue is setting them up with their sparklers or whatever the glow sticks that they have, that they could be in the room by themselves, not even the photographer, just me and them for a nice private intimate dance before they kind of go out with their send-off. And that's it.
Nice. Excellent. Okay. It's going to change my list up a little bit. Let's kind of just talk about the meal for just a second. Plated or buffet or whatever, what's more common in your markets? And Jay, let's start with you again and we'll just work our way around.
I think I've had 2 plated out of 60 weddings this year. The rest are buffet.
Everything's buffet.
Everything's buffet.
Mr. Lenstra.
Probably maybe a 30-70 split. I'd say about 30% of them have been the plated, about 70% still buffet.
Excellent. Mr. Schnauder.
99% buffet.
Everything is buffet. Rachel, what do you
got? So it's 80% buffet, 20% plated, but out of that 80%, I'm going to say 60% of that has been food trucks.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow.
That would be
legitimate food trucks. And out of those food trucks, probably 75% of those are pizza food trucks. I swear to God, I did not bribe these couples.
Yeah, you did.
That's just...
Yeah, that was in your contract. It's in her contract. I don't buy it. It's in the contract. Clause 7.
Yeah, clause 7.
Sounds like a Mark Farrell story.
Yeah, so with the meal, are there any kind of table activities or meal activities that have been something in your market? Randy Bartlett talked a number of years ago about doing something to release the tables, and he's made reference to that in his Minute with Randy Bartlett. Are any type of interactions like that something that happens in your market? Jay, you want to go ahead?
No, because the majority of, a couple years ago, the majority of time I had to release the tables, or I would suggest that I release the tables just as a way of keeping myself in with the tables, but also because you would have an outside caterer, an in-house coordinator who was also the bartender and cleaning tables. So it just became mayhem. And I'm like, I don't really eat at my events, so I figured it would be a good way to show the clients I was really working on their behalf. This year, it's been the on-sites have been releasing tables. So I'll interact with them, but I don't do anything specific. There was a time, but it was 15, 16 years ago, where you'd say, okay, each table has to come up with a line from a love song that says love in it, and when you stand up and sing it, the bride and groom will kiss, and then your table can go to the buffet. It just started to get, SoCal thinks it's very cool. It started to get a little hokey. Mm-hmm. So, you get, I'm sure the music we all play is different, but I think games like that, they're somewhat looked down upon out here. Mm-hmm. Not as much by me, but I think the perception of a classy wedding is they don't want anything cheesy.
Yeah, excellent. I could definitely see that. Mr. Lenstra.
I don't really do any interactivities during the dinner at all. The only thing I believe that we've offered some, it doesn't seem like a lot of people ever took us up on it, was putting table cards or place cards out on the tables with a song. And when we played that song, then those tables would go to the buffet line. But yeah, some people surprisingly didn't know what or just weren't paying attention. They didn't know what Love by Nat King Cole was, or
And
Can't Help Falling in Love by Elvis. You play it, and they'd sit there like,
It's sad.
okay.
Mr. Schnauder, any
Buffet. We did no release. It's just get on the microphone and make an announcement. Pre-COVID, it was pretty much all there was, and in COVID times, the state required that the catering company actually fix the plates. And so that slowed things down. And I thought that there might be some sort of a release action coming or request by the clients to slow the line down, but they didn't worry about it. So even when the catering companies had to actually physically serve each plate, Piccadilly style, where you would walk down and they would, how much of this do you want, and give you your plate at the end. It was still never a release. It was always just one general announcement and let them go at it.
Let them go. Rachel, are there any dinner activities or things that you guys have been doing?
Really, pretty much same as Mike. Just really focus on the music. I try to make dinner as fun as possible and just not make it passive listening. So again, with the COVID protocols, the slowing down of dinner, food trucks taking forever, I've really had to kind of up my dinner music game. And when you think people aren't listening, they really are. It's a really good time to give them kind of what to expect. So
sure. Yeah, I like that, using that time to prime them and get them ready for. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the areas why, my Kenny G works so well. Best of Kenny G works so well. Gets ready for it, man. He knows what's coming.
I count toe tapping and head bobbing as a dance,
Yes.
So you get people moving in their chairs, you're going to have a good dance floor later.
For sure.
Yep.
Let's talk a little bit about the toasts. Who traditionally, if is going to be using a microphone beyond you at an event? Let's just go with that, and maybe who will be saying what they'll be doing with the microphone. So Jay, if you could start us out of who would be using the microphone beyond us at a traditional wedding.
This is an area where I've through time changed, and I might do this differently than everyone else. If I do, this is how I do it. I'm 100% that my clients have hired me to do a job for them, and this is my equipment. It's not their mic. So we agree ahead of time, 100% who gets the mic, and no one else does. And I've never had a stranger get on a mic at a wedding and say anything that made the wedding better. Sure. It's always made it worse. So the bride and groom agree ahead of time, the best man, the maid of honor, my dad, his dad, my cousin, and that's it. And because I had so many problems with microphones, it's at their belt, it's over here, they're talking there, that I came up with my COVID mic. Oh no, and I tell them, I said, I know this whole mic drop thing. I said, the contract you signed, there's a line that if one of your guests intentionally or unintentionally damages my gear, you're responsible. So I said, you know what? I want to make the toast fantastic for you. So I bought a Gator quick release microphone stand so I can adjust any height in a heartbeat. And I put the mic on that. And then just to make sure it doesn't move for the toasters, I put a piece of gaff tape over that. And it's for their safety because of COVID. I changed the windscreens, but I tell them, here, hold your phone, hold your drink, and stand right here. I'll get the perfect height. Everyone will hear you, and it'll be perfect. And we'll have you right next to the bride and groom sweetheart table, so the photos will look amazing. And I've had 100% compliance. I had one dad this year who demanded a lavalier mic so he could toast from his table because it was going to be monumental. And his 30-second toast will go down in the books as a nothing. But he had to have a lavalier. And even the bride's like, yeah, this is my only real request. We got to get a lavalier for my dad. I'm like, oh, what's he doing? He's giving a toast. I'm like, how long is his toast? It's really short. I'm like, he can't hold a mic? I could hold it for him. I have a mic stand. No, he said he has to have a lavalier. I'm like, okay. But yeah, I've seen in the old days when I would be like, anyone else want to speak? And you'd get drunk cousin's girlfriend just fresh out of prison and rehab. And she's like, So my attitude is, if you're not on my list, and I think we all have seen this. Hey, I've known the groom since kindergarten. We're best friends. Oh, okay. I want to say something later. Huh, that's really funny. You're best friends since kindergarten, but you're not in the wedding party.
So Jay,
Red flag.
Does that happen where you have people wanting to say something quite often, or is that something that
100%, 100%. Somebody comes up and is like, "Yeah, I just, you know what? Last week, my last wedding, woman stands up and grabs me by and goes, excuse me. I introduced the bride and groom 10 years ago. I'm the yenta that hooked them up. I need to say something." So I go, "Oh, well, we're on a really tight timeline tonight, but let me look into if there's a chance." Went to the groom and I go, "There's a lady says she introduced to you," and he goes, "No, absolutely not." And I was like, and he goes, "Didn't we talk about this?" And I said, "What did I tell you?" And he goes, "I can't believe this. You were 100% right. The only person that asked is the one person I don't want to hear from." I'm like,
there you
so
go.
after our toast, we often have to move for something. And I tell the bride and groom, if you want to stay out of trouble, stand up when I get on the mic. And I say, and now the bride and groom are going to make their way over. Stand up and go, or else there's a time break where people can speak. I had a drunk cousin last year get up without a mic and yell, "Everyone, I need your attention." And the bridegroom and I are out of the room, and he proceeds to give a slurred speech without a mic. I mean, I'm not a bouncer.
Yeah.
You know.
That's not your job. Mr. Lenstra, microphone, who would typically be utilizing a microphone besides yourself the day of?
Well, a lot of times it's the parents. We'll have the parents say a few words. Also, the best man and maid of honor. And then it concludes with the bride and groom saying a few words to thanks to everyone. I've really tried to split this up a little bit. I've tried to encourage in most of our banquet facilities that have kind of gone along with this is where after we've done introductions, sometimes it's a cake cutting, sometimes it's a first dance. It just kind of depends. But then when we're seated for dinner, then the parents may get the microphone to say a few words to everyone. After dinner, then it gets turned over to the maid of honor and the best man. You know, this is the 21st century, and we just can't seem to keep people's attention for a whole long time. And sometimes if I get a long-winded toast and I have the father of the bride, the mother of the groom, the maid of honor, the best man, by this time people are looking at their phone to see what the sports scores are, type thing. So I'm really trying to split those toasts up whenever possible.
Sure. Excellent. Mr. Schnauder.
There is a package that I offer that allows or encourages the bride and groom to welcome their guest after they're introduced and come into the room.
Mm-hmm.
And 90% of the time they turn that down. And about 90% of the time, or in my area, they are doing toasting at the rehearsal dinner and saving the reception for fun dancing.
So
very rarely do we do a toast at a reception anymore.
Wow. So very little. Interesting. Rachel.
So I'm pretty much like Mike. We have maid of honor, best man, maybe the parents. Usually the couple wants to give some type of thank you, especially again during COVID. They appreciate just making the effort with the travel and all of that. And I do the same thing. So usually I'll have the maid of honor, best man go first. The earlier dinner or the parents, and then we'll kind of just break them up. And I use the toast as like dinner entertainment. While people are kind of sitting, just munching away at their food, they can kind of just turn and listen, and it kind of spaces them out, and it just gives like a good pace to them. So you're not just getting 20 minutes of microphone ranting. I also put a lot of effort into prepping not only the speakers, but the couple saying, listen, I don't know who you have talking, but if you kind of have a long-winded relative, have them kind of tone it down to 2.5, 3 minutes, if they can, 5 max or whatever. And they're usually like, yeah, no problem. So usually my toasts go very smoothly.
Does anyone offer toast tips to your couple?
Yes.
Email or somehow toast tips? Mike? Yeah, okay.
Got them from Randy Bartlett.
Yeah.
Randy shared some.
You want to slow them down. I just grab best men especially. Maid of honors usually are pretty good, but it's the best man that I worry about because they're always nervous. They've always had a few drinks. And then when they get that first laugh, they think it's their time to shine. And I'll just say to them, hey, I know the toast is difficult. I had to give one. They're not easy. But as long as you don't use the word I a lot, it'll be a great toast. And you can see the wheels in their head go, wait, my entire toast is the word I. I this, I that, I this, I that. I'm like, it's about the couple. And remember, her family's here who paid for all this. and just try to get them down from the comedy routines and the telling stories of strippers and like stupid stuff, you know?
Has anyone seen the YouTube video out there for those of you that don't know me?
Is it the
Go
best
look it up.
best man toast that's like
It's
awesome?
it's just a montage, Jay, of everyone that stands up and they grab the microphone and the first thing they say is, "For those of you that don't know me."
Yeah.
Yep, just goes over it.
That's one of our
Haven't
toast
seen
that we're saying. Yeah. So, yeah.
Do any of you
look it up on YouTube. For those of you that don't know me, it's hilarious.
Have you-
I'll do that. I'll have to check that out.
Yes.
have any of you had venues where there's a person from the venues, maybe the catering manager, whatever, that will introduce the meal? That's becoming a thing that we're seeing up here, is a barn venue, whatever, that has it where, okay, so and so from the catering department will come in and they're going to tell everyone about the meal tonight. So on tonight's menu, we're going to be having poached whatever.
No, I did have a caterer who was extremely popular in my area, and he would do on average about 6 weddings per weekend. The guy was just busy, and his food was good. He really was. And I can't tell you price wise, but from what I'm told, he was on the lower end of the price spectrum, and so he was extremely popular. And he had one terrible habit. He would not serve the food until the bride and groom had an opportunity to see the food. So he had to show off his food, lift up the whatever they call the lids on those things, and show them every single thing. Present the food is what I called it. Before he would allow anybody to eat. Yeah, it was terrible, because it was adding all kind of time to the event. Yeah. Just killing me later, because it was dance time that I couldn't get back. Finally broke him of it, but he didn't like it.
Oh, I'm sure not, if you're breaking. And that's what we've had with some of these venue owners that also introduce the meal. It's like I'm trying to break that. I'd like to break that from a couple, but it's become their thing. And okay, if you're going to play in their basketball court, you're going to play by their rules. Let's talk. You mentioned photographers a little bit. A couple of you have. How do photographers in your market, are they there? And I'm going to use a phraseology, interfering with the flow of the day when it gets to the reception. Is that something that happens quite often in your area? And if so, how have you dealt with that when they're trying to take the couple, or is it just something that doesn't happen in your area? Jay, you want to start us off?
You know what? I'm a huge fan of the DJ makes the moments photographers get to capture. So I think it's essential to work well with them. And if I don't write a timeline ahead of time, because I always write my own timeline to know where I am with things and what songs I have coming up and all that. But most of the venues will give me a timeline. The photographer gets the same one. Rachel said it. I mean, my average cocktail hour is an hour 10 to an hour 30. Because they're going off site to do photos now, because everything's outside and they want the sky, and I try to do my best to work with them. The only time it interferes with me is when they've got 2 huge spotlights on the dance floor, so no one wants to come out, which is a lot. Or they come to me and say, "What time are you here till?" I'm like, "Well, this ends at 10. "Oh, we're done at 8. "Oh, that's so funny. You got the timeline that says they're not doing Garter Bouquet till 9:15, then they're doing a honeymoon dance. "Oh yeah, we're leaving at 8. And then they rush to the bride and groom and go, "Do you want photos of this, 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 this?" And the bride and groom go, "Oh yeah." And then they make me do everything in half an hour so they can bail. And now I've got a bride, groom, and guests going, "Wow, that was an awesome wedding. I got to see everything, and it's only 8:15. We can leave." So I have to fight with the bride and groom, not fight with them, but kind of sell them on the idea of, if you rush everything through, people will think they've seen it all. They're more likely to maybe want to leave. So if we can time it out so that it works to your advantage, because I'm going to be there regardless. So that's the only conflict I've run into, is where they suddenly decide they're only there. I don't understand. I'm married, but I didn't have my photographer there at 10 in the morning and then finishing at 6 at night. I mean, they got there at a reasonable hour and they were there for most of the reception. So I don't kind of understand why your photographer needs to leave at 8 o'clock. I don't understand why your photographer has to sit down and eat either, when they showed up at 1 and they've got to leave at 8. I showed up at 12 and I'm not leaving till 11. So
photographers, you can send your hate mail to Brannan at what was
Well, you can CC me when I get there.
Well, you know what? If you go to my website, you can see all the beautiful photos that I have begged for and said you could watermark, and I never got. So,
Yeah.
Jody B Photography, I recommend her. She gave me photos.
There you go.
Yeah, there's Jay's digging.
I think in the long run, when this show ends, we're gonna walk away with the same understanding that we work for two people to make the best possible day for them in a given moment, in a time when things are difficult. If we're not all working in the same direction, we're working against each other. Mm-hmm. I get it. You end at 8:00, but you know what? If it's 8:15, is it gonna kill you? Can you give me 10 minutes? But I end at 8. You're not automated. You're not shutting down at 8. You're leaving here to drive home and watch Netflix. Come on. Give the client a better shot at the end of the night that took 15 minutes. That's sometimes when magic happens.
Mm-hmm. That it does.
To piggyback off Jay, the
go
other
ahead.
thing that I hate is the fake send-off. So they
yeah.
Yes.
Hate it.
That
We're going to do a sparkle
dog.
send-off at 8:00. This ends at 10.
Right,
Why are we doing it at 8:00? Well, we're going to tell
It
the
is
guests
the
it's
worst.
fake. Then don't do it.
Yeah,
Right.
Rachel,
Don't
I'll do one
fake
better
it.
than I'll do one better than that, Rachel. We had a photographer in this area that after introductions, he brought the bride and groom in and had them fake their first dance. Just stand there, pose, and fake their first dance. And then he rounded up the wedding party to come to the head table so he could fake the toast, so he could get his pictures and leave. Now, how sentimental do you think that is to the bride and groom when they look at those pictures 20 years later and they're like, that's all posed? Yeah, that's a
Real quick, when you said that, it reminded me about 15, 16, maybe 17 years ago, I had a photography team leave so early that they not only did the cake cutting in the room with just the bride and groom and me, but they turned the cake around. So they had the bride and groom cut out of the piece of the cake, feed it to each other, capture the photos, and then we had to spin the cake so that the cutout was in the back, in the corner, so that when the guests came in later, we did the cake before dinner was even done or started. Because photos like, we're leaving at 6:30. Dinner doesn't start till 6. Well, we'll do the cake cutting now. Can you help us turn the table so when guests come in, they don't see it's been cut into? I'm like, you're kidding. And they're like, no. So, I mean, come on.
Real quickly on this, John, I might have a little, maybe a devil's advocate view on this. I get a whole lot of referrals from photographers. And one of the first things I do when photographers get there is go introduce myself. I'm Mike with Alexis Entertainment. Hey, this is kind of the schedule that I have. What do you have? See if we can coincide. Now, this time of the year, in June, July, when it's not getting dark out till 8, 9 o'clock, something like that, before sunset, so be it. They hang around. They take the bride and groom out at that time. This time of the year, dinner seems to be coinciding with sunset. So now we're trying to play this. And I'll tell our couples, well, here's kind of our timeline, but depending on what time sunset is, sometimes your photographer will take you out and get pictures and then come in, we'll kick off the dancing. Other times we'll try to get the dances in before the photographer takes you out. I try to be really accommodating with everyone there, and I think that's paid off in a big way for me. As far as the photographers taking the bride and groom out for a while and getting sunset photos, I know tons of DJs here in my area that they just get infuriated. They stand on their hair. I'm okay with that. I'm really okay with that. If I'm not good enough to keep people kind of engaged and entertained for 30, 40 minutes, I'm in the wrong business. I mean, you can play that upbeat music. You can let them know kind of what's on your music list, what's going to be happening tonight. A lot of times if I have kids there, I bring the kids out and I tell them like, hey, help me out here, kids. I got like this music downloaded. They said it's all from cartoons, but I don't know what they are. Could you help me out? And I'll play a little bit of Let It Go and, I'm a Believer from Shrek. And it's like a name that tune for kids. Mom and dads eat it up, seeing their kids out there. But yeah, I'm happy to work with the videographer, the photographer, whatever's going to be more beneficial for all of us, especially the bride and groom by the end of the day.
Like, we're very similar. I usually actually take care of this even before the event. So I make a timeline. I send it to the couple for approval to make sure I have the names spelt right, they're phonetically, I got their right first dance song. And then that's what I use to coordinate everybody that day, but I will ask them for their vendor's contact information from the wedding event coordinator to the photographer. And I actually send it to them like 2-3 weeks beforehand. So if there's something that isn't going to work, or if there's something unique that they need, we can kind of have that chat beforehand. Now, are there things I need to do on the fly? Absolutely. Welcome to, weddings. But I definitely try to establish a rapport and a trust even before the event.
How many here, I'm sorry if I'm running into your time.
Go ahead.
How many here actually have photographers send out timelines that includes and this will be what time your first dance is, this is what time your garter bouquet toss will be. We're getting that all the time in our area.
I've never had it.
Drives me absolutely nuts.
I've never had one from.
And
2 weeks ago, I had a bride and groom. We did a wedding, and we had already set up a timeline. And she said, "Oh, there is one change." And I said, "What's that?" "Well, we wanted to come in and do our first dance right away, and the cake cutting after dinner, but our photographer changed that." She said, "We'll do the cake cutting first, and then we'll do your first dance after." And I hate to kind of piss in somebody's Wheaties, but I reminded her, the couple of the golden rule, which is the one that has the gold makes the rules. That's not the photographer. That's the bride and groom. If they wanted to do their first dance right away, so be it. And that's what we did.
Yeah,
I'm done. Sorry.
That's very interesting.
I'm sorry. I've done the same thing with venues where I've told brides and grooms, yeah, the schedule you made we really liked because you had dinner was at 7, toasts were at 8, first dance, father, daughter, and then cake was like 8:45. But the venue said the cake has to be 8 o'clock. I'm like, why? Do you want it at 8? Well, no, because we're going to go outside and do that moonlit photo because we're near the water. I'm like, well, ask the venue if we can keep it at 8:45. Gets back to me, no, the venue said it has to be at 8. I said, the venue said it has to be at 8 because they want to cut labor. It's not your problem. It's the venue's problem. You have the cake cutting when you want. You have that time and space. Nowhere in your contract does it say you have to do this at this time. And I've had banquet captains go, hey, I want to cut some staff. Can we push this up a half an hour? And I'm like, well, we have it scheduled at 8:45, not 8:15. And they go talk to the bride and groom, and then the bride comes up and goes, I guess we're going to do the cake at 8:15. And I'm like, why are brides and grooms being manipulated by vendors the day of their special event? I guess because I show up and I don't see another vendor. And when I leave, I don't see another vendor. So my interest is only in the whole day. My interest isn't just in my work time. It's in the whole wedding experience. And I think I know more than them when it comes to flow. Because there's nothing worse than, when are we going to dance? This is boring. Because you're not flowing. And why push everything up to accommodate somebody to get home? I mean, I know I'm going to get blowback on this video, but I'm sorry. I work for the bride and groom. I don't work for the better interest of other vendors who want to leave. Just because you want to get out of there and get a beer, I get it. I'll buy you the beer, but maybe stay 20 minutes. Let the bride and groom have half an hour with their guests. I'm in a market where if you're from LA, you're going to leave a wedding at 9 because you have to drive 2 hours to get home. Why not give them time with their family and friends? Stop making it automated. This isn't a trade show where it has to be this. This is a wedding. Give it a little breath. Let it breathe. Let it grow for the day.
Oh, you're just being too optimistic.
I've been up for 24 hours.
I
don't know where I am.
Yeah, you're lacking sleep from last week. We've got a few more minutes here. I want to make sure we can talk a little bit about music. If there are some maybe unusual hits from your area or songs that go over quite well that may not go over in other markets, as you've talked to other DJs. I'm going to kind of switch. I want to go down to Mike Schnauder. I want to give you the first shot of this because I think when you and I talked about this, we ran into a few songs that worked in your area that people expect, and it's things I had no idea what you were talking about.
Yeah, but before I do that, can I touch on the photographer for a second?
Yeah, please.
I didn't get a chance to do that. It's really brief.
Yeah.
No, it's really brief. Pet peeves, they leave their gear, trash my area, which I've gone through and made sure that it was perfectly, tidy. Everything was great. And they just trash the area with their cases and stuff. They usually don't steal the bride and groom for real long periods of time. So that's not so much of a problem. But getting to Jay's point and some of the others, what's happening is when I have a final planning meeting with my couples, I always ask them, what time does video and photography end? And they never know. And when I dug into this deeper, It was because photographers have a 4-hour package, a 6-hour package, or an 8-hour package. Which one would you like?
Yeah.
And they usually pick one that's based on hours. And nowhere in the photographer's contract does it usually state what time they start. So therefore, they have no idea when they're going to end. And so that what's happening is couples are wanting, they're getting sold on this idea of, well, we need video and photography of us putting on eyeliner and getting our hair done and our nails done and the guys getting dressed. And so it's pushing everything earlier. So now they're leaving in the middle of our receptions and causing fake exits because they're not going to be there to the end, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So done with that. Music.
Yeah.
Line dances are popular. In my world, it depends on where I'm at. In Lafayette and within 50 to 60 miles, I can play a Zydeco song and never go wrong. That's a unique blend of music from here. But as soon as I get to Baton Rouge or New Orleans, they don't really want or ask for it. Even North Louisiana doesn't ask for it. Charts are always popular. The Rat Pack, Rachel mentioned it earlier, for dinner music is always good. There's jazz is starting to become more popular again for background seating music, cocktail hour. But depends on the age group. It is so weird. I will get a bride who will tell me no Bruno Mars at all. And then the next one will have 5 or 6 Bruno Mars songs listed.
Yeah.
The only thing that seems to be a consistent lately is the R. Kelly. No R. Kelly seems to be a pretty consistent band. But one bride and groom will want country, another one will hate country. And, it's just keeps you on your toes. But I have a lot of charts and I do a lot of probing. And I also ask each client to give me at least 20 dance songs that they want to dance to. And so that's a big help, because then you get some ideas of what they like and don't like. And I'll share a quick tip while we're on music. When couples say, I'm not really good at picking songs, I have learned that if you send them the PDF from DJ Intelligence, the top 200 from last year, and say, find me 20 on here that you like, it's painless for them and it works really well.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Excellent. Rachel, songs and maybe some unusual bangers that work in your market, in your area.
So country has been huge this year, and I don't really consider myself a country DJ, but I actually have an incredible gig log kind of showcasing this. And believe it or not, Thank God I'm a Country Boy has been tearing up. I have like a redrum by one of my favorite remixers, Starjack. He makes really great edits. That's been a banger. Thank God. I'm sorry, I already said that. Shania Twain, Man I Feel Like a Woman.
Yeah.
Annie Man of Mine is my dinner sing-along crate. Slays. And then on the dance floor, Man I Feel Like a Woman. And then, of course, the Fancy Like, because of TikTok.
Right.
That has been insane. Really fun. And I've actually had a couple of weddings where couples came in with this, I don't want cliche wedding music. I don't want any Bruno Mars. I don't want any Beyonce. I don't want any this. And then 2 hours into the event, because all their guests keep going up to them to bother them, because I kind of say, hey, we're good. They're like, you know what? Forget it. Just play what they want. So I kind of now coach my couples. I say, listen, we can fit your vibe in, dinner, cocktail hour. If there's something you honestly don't want because it was like a song with another like X or something. But other than that, just let people have fun. You invited 150 people to this party. Let them have a good time. And they're usually on board with that. Oh, and Peppa's by Faruka is the new like Danza Kududro. That is a banger if you don't have it. P-E-P-A-S.
Mr. Brightside. Mr. Brightside's really over the top too. I don't know why.
Yes. Back, yeah. And I was going to close out that emo rock Fall Out Boy kind of genre, Avril Lavigne, that kind of sing-along rock goes off. Definitely. Your emo crate should be updated.
Excellent. Jay, we're coming up to you.
Trying to write down Peppa's. I do like Rachel. I tell clients, let's represent you during cocktail dinner. Let's have them be different. I've had a lot of clients this year. I've sold them on yacht rock for cocktail or dinner, or classic rock for cocktail, yacht rock for dinner. my market is very country driven, and I've had to become a great country DJ. But they still want other music. So one of the mixes that I've done this year that's worked insanely well is Turn Down for What into Luke Bryan, Country Girl, Shake That For Me. And they kind of flip because it's two different genres and they just freak out over it. So country's definitely on fire. Thank God I'm a Country Boy's on fire. The TikTok stuff, I've done a bunch of school things and I'm on TikTok and I enjoy TikTok. So I have all the TikTok tracks from Astronaut in the Ocean to the Magic Bomb, which is the TikTok question song. So I'll drop those here and there and it inspires people. You can tell who's who. But I think a lot of it is just letting the clients know exactly. This is your wedding. It's for you for the ceremony. It's for you for cocktail and your guests. It's for you more for dinner because I want you to smile because your guests will be happy if you're smiling. So if you like progressive prog rock from the 70s, let's play that for dinner. Why? Because you'll be happy. Your clients don't care what they hear. They're there for you. But as far as dancing goes, the magic is to play what people know and people want. So you have to let go of dancing a little bit and give it back to the crowd because you're hosting a party. My market hates line dances, but they love wobble, Cupid shuffle, sometimes cha-cha. My country clients, that's all they want is line dances. And I'm like, okay. And I also have to do a lot of Latin because I'm close to San Diego. I have a huge market for that. So it varies, but I really want clients to always feel they're represented. Did you meet at a Dave Matthews show? Do you go to Coachella every year? What about you? I had a client last year that every table was named after a show, a group, or a festival that they'd attended. So dinner music was everything from, Hunter Hayes to Deadmau5 to Calvin Harris to Neil Diamond. And I thought it was awesome. And it really made for a fun dinner time. But right now, Latin music is on fire. Country music is on fire. Fancy is like the intro this Thursday. I have a wedding. They're introed into Fancy like. So, that will change. It changes about every 5 or 6 months out here. But my market is very no YMCA, no Macarena, no Electric Slide, no Shout. They don't want what they call cheesy or typical wedding songs.
Do you guys play Copperhead Road as a line dance?
For country weddings.
Yeah, right.
It goes over really well.
I feel sorry for the venue's dance floor. It's like
they beat the heck out of it. Yeah, you're right.
They do.
You're right.
Mr. Lenstra.
I got a question for you guys.
Oh, go ahead.
How many slow songs are you playing throughout the night? Is it completely different per couple, or how does that work out for you guys?
Once fast music starts, zero.
Yeah.
I start with a
10, 12, 2. 10, 12, 2.
Say that?
10, 12, 2.
Okay.
I'll play 10 to 12 fast songs before I play 2 slow songs. And then usually that second slow song has to have kind of a pick-me-up at the end, like a Don't Stop Believin' or Friends in Low Places, something like that. So we're really kind of getting into that energy. Real quickly, John, because I know we're at about 7:58 here. Yep. Some bangers that really have worked for me here, and maybe it's just me, maybe it's not my whole market here, but I Will Survive, but not Gloria Gaynor, the Hermes House Band. I don't know if anyone's ever heard that. Hermes House Band, I Will Survive. It's just a real pick-me-up. Fancy Like, of course, has been the song of the year, but I've gotten the remix with Walker Hayes and Kesha from Promo Only that I use.
I don't like it.
Yeah. That seems to be really good. As far as dinner music, I'm kind of like Jay. I'm trying to do a little bit more, or maybe Rachel, a little bit more of a vibe rather than Rat Pack music. I'm playing things like I'm Gonna Lose You from Meghan Trainor, Love on the Brain from Rihanna, Ho Hey from the Lumineers, Phillips Home, things like that. Just try to get a little bit more of an energy and a vibe in there to kind of, for lack of a better word, I'm sorry, I call it foreplay. I mean, you're just trying to get kind of that, that vibe kind of going type thing.
Excellent.
And I Want to Dance with Somebody. It's probably the biggest, most requested song this year.
Yeah.
Huge. Yeah. I forgot about that.
Every wedding.
Is that number one on the DJ Intelligence, Mike?
It's at the top.
I didn't mention that, but I've been using them since 2003. So all my clients get a link. And about 98% of them will pick, 10 or 15.
Off the top. Yeah.
Well, it seemed, but a lot of them are going the other way. They're going with these are college songs. We love this. And, it's hard to get a read, but, Taylor Swift's huge out here. for like the 30 and under brides. They love Taylor. And Avril Lavigne, like Rachel said, Skater Boy, huge. The other one that I keep trying to find a clean version of is Lit, My Own Worst Enemy. That will slam a dance floor out here with like Blink-182 and
Rachel, 4 to 6 songs for the dancing portion of the night. Slow. You asked about slow songs.
Oh, okay.
4 to 6.
I open with a slow, and I might play one more slow at the end because my dance sets are usually only about an hour and a half to 2 hours long.
We do a lot of money dances around here, and those are all slow songs. And so I'm worried about killing people with slow songs.
For sure.
Yeah, I do those slow too.
Well, typically in our area, the photographer wants to leave by 7:30, so I've got 7:30 to 11 to keep a dance floor full. Yeah, 3.5 hours. School dances aren't 3.5 hours.
I mean, mine are 7 hours. My dance sections are 7 hours long. Did I say an hour and a half? I meant 7 hours.
36 hours. I think.
No, they're not. This is where I get flack from the Midwest all the time. Like, how long is your wedding? I'm like, usually 6 hours. 6 hours? Our weddings are like 18 hours long. I'm like, well, because people have nothing else to do. I'm sorry. You're staring out at the open plains going, now what? I don't know.
There's
It's
corn.
dance.
More corn.
No, Brian and John used to gang up on me all the time. You did what? How long were they dancing? I'm like, 2 hours. 2 hours.
2
That's
hours.
nothing.
That's an hour.
I had 5 hours the other night. I'm like, 5 hours? Get out of here. No, 5 hours.
That's what it was.
Rachel, who did Peppa's? Who is it by?
Farruko, Farruko.
Thank you.
You're gonna want a clean version. So if you don't speak Spanish, there's a clean version. You're definitely gonna want a clean version. It's about partying with pills, but it's a good song. It's good. Yeah. It's a good song.
What was that? Yeah, I took a pill in Ibiza. People liked that for a while.
Well, if they're requesting WAP, I think Farruko will be okay.
Oh, real quick.
A little like
you guys play WAP?
Oh, all the time.
No.
Yeah, I've never
played that song.
Ever played that song.
Didn't you hear what Howie Darkstar said? What Howie said? He said, yeah, they requested it, and he said he'd play it, and he played the instrumental version.
No, I don't play it at all. Never have.
Sounds like Howie.
Never.
I've got a promo-only edited version. So
I do too, but it's like it's
playing
still,
Yeah.
Not playing it. Sorry.
Yeah.
Classy affair, Mike. Tell them to say, hey, it's a classy affair.
It is a classy affair.
That's it. It is in my world.
Well, thank you guys.
I'll mention this real quick. For the first time in my life, I've been in business for 26 years, 22 years as a full-time DJ. And 6 months ago, I had to actually add into my contract that I will not play explicit lyrics regardless of who asked for it. I had to put it in writing.
No, I've never gone that far, but I've had it where I won't play unless it's been approved by the bride and groom, but I've never gotten to that point of saying.
No.
I had a bride this year get mad. She wanted Big Sean Dance, and I played it, and she came up, she goes, that was the clean version. I said, I only play clean versions. And she'd had a few drinks, and she goes, well, I wanted the dirty version. I go, you remember when we met like 3 times, and everything was always clean, and you were really happy to hear it. Well, yeah, but I was sober and I wasn't at my wedding. Now I want to hear the swears. She sent me an email after the honeymoon. She's like, you did awesome. We Venmoed you some money. By the way, I seem to recall me giving you a hard time about playing swears. If I did that, that could have been the booze. Like, it's okay.
I had someone cancel their contract because I refused to play some of the music on their list. So be it.
Yeah, I lost one too recently. I lost one recently. We didn't even make it to the contract. As soon as I said I play radio edited clean music, there was like, nope, we want the explicit lyrics, and that was it. We didn't even make it to the contract.
Not every client is your right client.
And there's nothing wrong with being home on a Saturday night now and then. Yeah.
Oh, no. This date will be booked by somebody else. This is for 2022.
Oh, okay,
I'm not worried about it. Not worried about it. You know, I've got to sleep with me at night, not them.
Well, we need to jump. Thank you, Jay, Rachel, Michael, Mike. Thank you guys for being with and sharing some thoughts and such from your area. We're going to jump right into the next session here. We've got Ron, Ruth, and Steve Iverson here. They're kind of doing a little ganging up on this one as they're talking weddings.
Hi, everyone. It's Ron Ruth at DJNTV, and I'm here with my good friend, Stephen Iverson. Stephen and I have known each other for a very long time. Stephen is a retired minister, and he's also a wedding officiant. Isn't that right? You've done a lot of weddings.
That's right. Yeah, over the years, I've helped couples planned the wedding ceremony,
Right.
and then trusted that the DJs would have had a plan for the reception.
Trusted.
Discovered that not all of them had a plan, and not all of them knew how to help couples plan. But
Yeah.
you have.
Right. Well, and Stephen and I, rather than we're doing like a 20-minute presentation, which to me is like extraordinarily boring, Stephen and I have talked on a number of occasions about what it takes to put together what I call an unforgettably fun wedding celebration, one that that guests will talk about and rave about for years and years to come. And so rather than, again, me doing a presentation, I've asked Stephen to compile a list of questions that he can ask me about the wedding planning process, things that he's always been curious about. How do we pull it off? So I'm gonna entrust my 30 years of wedding DJ experience into my good friend Stephen here with all of his questions, and see how well I can respond to what he came up with.
You're trusting your whole reputation.
I am putting my reputation on the line. Absolutely. But you know what? I have faith.
Oh, well, good. Okay. Well, I do have a list.
Okay.
And let's just start at the beginning, which is, when does the planning process begin, in your opinion?
Okay. So in my opinion, the wedding process begins with the very first conversation you have with a couple, because as a wedding DJ, you're being invited to be a part of a couple's most important day of their life. You represent the couple in front of all their family and friends. It's not just a matter of showing up and playing music. You are their representative. So when you first meet with a couple, in order to provide them with an entertainment experience that's going to be different from all of the others, one that's going to be unique to them, maybe something that's going to be a little bit more personalized to their taste and personality, then you want to get to know them as much as you can in the beginning. So asking questions, the most important question to me in a sales consult before you ever talk about music or sound or lighting or any of that other stuff is 3 little words. Tell me about yourself. That's actually 4 little words.
4 words.
That's 4 little words. 4 little words. See, I'm a great DJ. I never said I was good at math.
That's right.
Okay. All right. So 4 little words. Tell me about yourself. Because, and then use that information, everything they tell you about themselves, as a tool for, as you're thinking about how are you going to help them create this unique event. So as an example, I want to know, are you from this area? Where did you go to school? When did you graduate? How did the 2 of you meet? Who introduced you? When did he propose? Where did he propose? How did he propose? Were you surprised? Oh, let me see the ring. Oh, it's a beautiful ring. Oh, did you pick this out yourself, or did she? Oh, no, you picked it out. Oh, you're a brave man. So did you have any idea this was coming? No, you didn't. So why did you pick this date? And why did you pick that location for the proposal? I mean, these are all things that become ammunition of sorts, tools that I can. So when we start talking about the process of planning, how their wedding reception might look, I can actually paint them a picture based on the information they provided.
So what you're describing is a proactive approach.
Absolutely. And proactive to me is a great choice of words, because planning, it's synonymous with planning. I mean, if you're being proactive, that means that you're planning ahead. How can you remain proactive and make sure that every step has been addressed as you approach this wedding? So again, going back to the very first conversation that you have with the couple during the sales process, one of the things that I used to do with my couples is I would provide them with a brochure that they could take home with them. And inside of this, one of the important things inside of this was a description of how this process is going to take place. Think of it as, I hate the terminology, but it best describes it. It's managing expectations. What do they have to look forward to? So as an example, one of the things I tell my couples is that I'm high maintenance, which means we're going to be spending a lot of time together. This is not just me showing up and playing music for 4 or 5 hours. The process for me is that we're going to meet at least 3 times before your wedding, and actually 4 times. And I'll break it down. The first time we get together is obviously to get to know each other. That's about 3 months in advance of a couple's event. Now, I do love stories, so a lot of times that particular conversation is again, going back to how did you meet, where did you meet, when did you meet? And you could, even if you don't do love stories, I would suggest to DJs, take this time to sit down, have a social meeting, order pizza, bring something in and just sit down and have some pizza, maybe record the conversation so you don't forget what you heard, and talk about, let's go deeper into this, how did you meet and type of conversation that we were talking about before. Tell me more about yourself. What are the things you enjoy doing together? What are the things that you share in common? Those are important tools as you start thinking about how you're going to plan the wedding. 2 months in advance, we actually sit down and we put a timeline to everything that it is the couple wants to do. Okay, so there is no doubt. I always tell my couples, look, I want to make it so that when you walk through the door of your wedding reception, I want you to know who, what, when, where, why, how, everything is going to occur. So there's absolutely no surprises. Okay. And not only are you going to know, but we're going to take all of that information and we're going to share it with every one of your team members, all the other wedding professionals you're working with. And we're going to do that at least 30 days in advance so they know what the plan is as well. So if there is a conflict, and there have been conflicts before, I mean, as an example, God, there's nothing worse for a DJ than right after the first dance and you're just getting ready for the party to start. The photographer comes to you and says, hey, I want to take the wedding party outside for sunset photos.
Really?
Yeah.
It happened.
And it happens. I mean, the information better known yesterday.
That's
you
right.
know? So if you share this information with the photographer in advance and the photographer says, hey, you know what, the couple did tell me they would like to do these sunset photos, then you have an opportunity to work with them on the timing and know how it is you're going to work that timeline that night, how you can better work that timeline so that it doesn't interrupt the flow of the evening. Okay.
Yeah.
See, a wedding reception is more than just party and music. It's an experience. And anything that happens that pauses or disrupts that experience takes away from the experience. People want to know what's going on. Why are we not doing this? What happened? A minute ago, the bride and groom are here. Where'd they go?
Right.
So you want to be able to work with all of the other wedding professionals to make sure that timeline flows. Okay. So we were talking about the second time, 2 months out.
Right.
Third time we get together is a month in advance of a wedding reception. That's where we actually go to the venue and we do a walkthrough. And we talk about, where am I going to be? Where are you going to be? Where is the head table going to be? Where is the cake? How about the VIPs, parents? Where are parents going to be seated? I want to know where everybody is going to be that night so that when I arrive, there's no surprises for me. Yeah, I see so many posts on DJ Facebook groups where they talk about, well, I just saw one today. I arrived at the wedding this past weekend, and after I got set up, the wedding planner and the venue came to me and said, well, what are you going to do about setting up outside? And I was blown away by it. And it's like, why did you not know that in advance? Well, yes, it takes more time to do these things for your couple. But again, wouldn't it be wonderful to know these things in advance so you go prepared? Right. It's going to cause you less stress in the end. Plus, it's going to make you more of a professional. And here's the beauty of this. When you, I believe every wedding professional's role is important. Every wedding professional's role is important. But if you are taking the lead and you're going into the venue with your client, then you're saying, this couple has got a lot of faith in me and what we're doing here. So if the wedding venue says, well, we want you to set up over there in that corner, 100 feet away from the dance floor, here's your opportunity to say, that's really not going to work too well for the experience, for the results you're trying to get from your event. It would be better if I'm here, and here's why it would be better if I'm here, because then it's not just clear to the couple, it's also clear to the venue. Everybody is aware of why this is an important move to make. So, okay, so I have one more. I know you've got, this is the fourth time we get together. Fourth time we get together, is at the rehearsal.
I was going to say, I hope at the rehearsal.
Yeah, absolutely. I go to the rehearsal. I have yet to have a couple tell me, no, I don't want you to go to the rehearsal. I will go to the rehearsal and I time it so that I'm meeting with them, and I'll tell the couple, I'll say, if your rehearsal's at 7, tell your wedding party it's at 6:30. And why? Because I've yet to meet a wedding party that's ever on time.
That's right.
Most ministers do not wait. You know this.
Oh, yeah.
Most ministers do not want to wait for the DJ to have a meeting with the couple before they get into the rehearsal. So my goal is to have that meeting out of the way before the minister steps up onto the altar to get people in place. Mm-hmm. So I tell my couples, I say, lie to your wedding party. Tell them to be there. The rehearsal's at 6:30, not 7. It's 6:30.
So lie to your wedding party, but not the minister.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, and you're in a church. If you lie to the minister, you can always pray. So, maybe not. I don't know. So lie to the wedding party, have them there in plenty of time. And really all I'm doing, and I'm showing this on the screen right now, is I share a very brief outline of what's going to happen the next day so that they're aware. Look, your wedding party, a couple's wedding party wants the bride and groom's wedding to be just as much fun as they want it to be, but it's a lot easier for them to make that happen if they understand what their role is. Mm-hmm. All too many times the wedding party shows up and has absolutely no idea where they're supposed to go. How many times as a DJ, I used to do this back in the day before I got smart, and I was tracking people down, trying to find, where's the bridesmaid? Well, I don't know. Well, we can't do intros until we have everybody there. So if you let the wedding party know, and again, going back to kind of what I was talking about with the venue, if you're doing this stuff in front of the bride and groom, guess who has the upper hand as far as leading the next day? Mm-hmm. People are going to be far less willing to argue with you because the bride and groom have shown they trust and respect you. And the parents even, I'm astounded how many times I show up at a wedding and couple's parents will come to me and they'll say, I've heard so much about you. And I understand this is going to be a ton of fun, that what we're going to do this next day. So that was a long answer to a very short question, but I think it's important.
I was going to say, it's incredibly important to know the expectations. See, in my work, all the years that I've been involved in ministry and since retiring, every conflict that we see is traced right back to the word of expectations. Either the expectations were not fully expressed, or they weren't fully understood. Right. And when I think about your 4 meetings, by the time you get to rehearsal, you have fully expressed and given them opportunity to fully express and helped everybody to fully understand. So when you do get to the wedding and you get into the reception, there aren't any surprises. No. There shouldn't be.
No.
You use checklists also.
I do. And matter of fact, I brought this with me and I was going to show it, but it'd probably be, I'll show it here on the screen. So I use a checklist when it comes to both the wedding ceremony and the wedding reception. And as you can see in the checklist, it tells them everything, how long each meeting that we're going to have is going to last. It didn't come out quite right, but you get it. It also tells them what we're going to discuss during each one of those meetings so that they are, and keyword, prepared. Okay. I see, again, going back to the things I see on DJ forums is that, well, the bride and groom didn't give me their information until like the night before. That's because you didn't lay out a roadmap for them. So but then I embraced it. And yes, it is homework, because if you don't do your thing, if you don't give me the information on the couples, your wedding party on time, if you don't tell me what it is you want to do that night on time, I can't do my job. And as much time as I spend with them, they get it. They understand. They respect the idea that without their input, I'm stuck. I'm in the mud. Right. And so rarely do I ever have a time when somebody ever comes to me anymore and says, oh, Ron, we just can't get all of this information done. So again, I provide them with this checklist. And what you're looking at is a checklist that is printed. I also provide that on a thumb drive. So if they want to follow the checklist on the thumb drive, I give them an opportunity to fill out a written reception planner. They can do it through the thumb drive as well and email it to me, whatever they'd like to do. But the point is, they have all this information available to them so that they can respond to it. And again, I think the biggest part about planning is, again, it goes back to, and I cringe every time I hear it, managing expectations. Right. And you're not, please, for the love of all that's holy, never, ever, ever tell your couples, I'm just managing your expectations, because that will really tick them off. You don't want to do that. Again, a lot of DJs may say, well, Ron, my couples don't want all that. Okay, so I have two responses to that. I know that's not one of your questions probably, but I have two responses.
As a matter of fact, it is.
I have two responses to that. One is, have you ever asked them? I'm astounded at how many DJs guess at what their couples want. You think that just because you do the same thing week in and week out, that everybody's happy with that. But imagine how much more in demand you would be if you're taking that next step. Tell me one bride that wants to worry about her wedding. Not one, ever. And when are we going to do that? If you want to eliminate those when aren't we's, then you have to be more proactive in managing those expectations and making sure that they know what's going to happen. Okay, so again, if you're not asking them, if you're not at least attempting to find out what your couples really want, then that's on you. The other response I have to that is that, what was the question? Oh,
wait, let me manage your expectations. They don't want all that.
Yes, that's it. That's it. Exactly. I got so wrapped up in the other thing that I just, okay. So if they don't want all that and you don't want to do that, don't do that. If you're happy doing what you do, then go about doing it. The way I became the highest paid DJ in my market, Kansas City, was by what I'm telling you I did. And I remained the highest DJ until I retired about a year ago. And I still have yet to see a DJ make the amount of money I was making. No flashy lights, no mixing music. All I did was devote everything I had to the happiness and to my couples and to the success of their event. Everything else was gravy.
Right.
Right. It's that simple. But if you don't, but I'm not suggesting you have to. If this is not something you want to do, then don't do it. But if you want to elevate, if you want at the end of the event for your couples to go to people they know that are getting married and say, here's the deal. You don't want anybody but John or Mary or whoever it is. You want those raving reviews. Imagine today that we took 5-star reviews and they suddenly became 8-star reviews. How much more would you do to get to that 8th star? What would it take you to get there? That's what it means to continually elevate your game.
It sounds to me that even on a 5-star scale,
right,
by the time the reception starts, you've already earned 4,
right?
Because you've already demonstrated an above and beyond interest and care for their event.
Yeah.
Then the reception happens, and you deliver everything that they have talked about and they're hoping for and expecting, and it's a 5-star. I got a question though. It's not on my list. You've invested quite a few hours before the reception ever happens.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm curious, how much time have you given up to this point?
Depending on the couple and whether I'm involved in the ceremony or not, typically a wedding reception for me is about a 45-hour event. If I'm involved in the wedding ceremony, then it's going to be more hours. But on average, about 45 hours for every event that I do. But again, the process, all of this, I was talking earlier, I don't know if I said it, but during the planning process, again, telling my couples, I want you to know everything that's going to happen. And if something happens out of the ordinary, mm-hmm. we'll deal with it. You mm-hmm. don't even need to know about it. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. With this time, when you invest this much time in planning, the odds of something going wrong mm-hmm. are extraordinarily limited. I mean, there are some things I can't control. I can't control the food's not ready yet, but so I can't control little things but you know what? I don't mind those little hiccups. It's the big hiccups. Yeah. It's that, again, going back to the photographer going, hey, I want to take the bride and groom outside. It's that photographer that wants to, hey, we're going to do a fake send-off, so I need everybody outside. Then it's up to me to bring everybody back inside and get the party going again. No, mm-hmm. let's figure out another way, because mm-hmm. that will destroy a party. And that, again, takes away from the end result. I think I get very passionate about this. No. Forgive me. Yeah, I mean, just a little. Really? So here's the thing. One of the reasons a couple hires you, a DJ, to be a part of one of the most important days of their life is they're looking for expert advice. If you are an expert, demonstrate it. Right. I talked about the different meetings I have and the different times. None of that time between each meeting is dead air. I'm reaching out maybe every 10 days with an email saying, how you doing? I understand this process can be a little difficult. How can I be of service to you? Good. I end each email with, rather than saying, let me know if you need anything, which puts the onus on them, I end the email with, how else can I be of service to you today? And even if they say there's nothing you can do for them, mm-hmm. they're going to appreciate the fact that you cared. Right. And then when you actually do sit down with them for the planning process, they're going to be more inclined to listen to you than to treat you like someone that may not have any knowledge. And all of a sudden now they're pulling, well, I saw this thing on Pinterest that I want to try. Well, it may not be something that's going to be conducive. Or my mm-hmm. mom wants to do this thing. Well, maybe that's not going to be conducive mm-hmm. either. So by demonstrating that you're the expert, you're going to have a lot less struggle with people wanting to either take over the planning process, take it away from you, mm-hmm. Interfere in it, or that people that just want to do something that is just not going to help them find the end results that they really want. And that's something you may have to continually remind the bride and groom. See, this is the end result in a nice way. You want to do an open mic toast where everybody can toast. Let me I get it, and I'm happy to do that for you, but let me tell you why that might not be such a good idea. Or mm-hmm. let me tell you why it's not such a good idea for me to be 100 feet away from the dance floor. Mm-hmm. That's good. Well, I just had a light bulb go in my mind of the fact that my light bulb goes off, but you become the lightning rod. Because by having helped them define what they're expecting, you kind of help them prevent the last minute Aunt Gertrude, who comes up with an idea, and she shows up with whatever gadget it is that she wants to add into the reception, and you get to tell her no. Right. They don't have to worry about telling whomever it may be no. It's you, mm-hmm. and so you're the bad guy, and they get away with letting you kind of lead the way on that. I am definitely the bad guy. So let me go back to the communication with other wedding vendors and partners. Mm-hmm. Are you asking the bride and groom to communicate with the checklist you've created to those vendors, or do you do that? No, I don't go over the checklist with the other wedding professionals. Okay, but I do send them a copy of the itinerary. Like I said, about so you're communicating with those other wedding. So they have that itinerary 30 days in advance that says, "Here's Excellent. Our timeline." If you see, and I don't be a jerk or jerkette. If you see anything in this timeline that conflicts with what you want to do, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to discuss it with the couple. Mm-hmm. Again, this isn't about me. This is about the couple. Well, so the benefit there Right.
is that the other wedding professionals, I believe, are going to start to recognize you as the DJ who's planning and helping to plan
Right. And it's
as an equal professional, because chances are that they get some communication from a DJ in advance of the wedding is nil.
Well, and I think what happens is that so many of so many venues, so many photographers, they work with DJs, they may take no initiative at all. And so they take initiative, and then the DJ wants to complain about it. Well, dude, do that. Why did you not, again, if you don't take the initiative, no one else is going to. You have to be, if you want to start seeing the wedding receptions going the way you think that they should go, then quit relying on the idea that I'll wing it, and instead invest the time. Get your couple behind you, because this is all, again, you're representing them. And think of it as a team effort. If they're not on board, then there's nothing you can do. And if you've not given them a chance to get on board, then that's on you.
Right.
Quit blaming the couples, quit blaming their guests, quit blaming the wedding professor. If you've not taken the initiative, then you have no one to blame but yourself. Look inward. Look inward. It's that simple.
Well, you've already answered a couple other questions that I had by walking through the process. So I just want to review. The very beginning, the very first conversation,
right,
is the starting of your planning.
Absolutely.
You're gaining a better understanding of who they are, why they're a couple,
right,
what's making them happy, and just kind of blending that. You're going to work that into your sales element.
Right.
Then you go into your 4 meetings, and each one is very specific. You're following up each one with email,
right,
so that there's some continued dialogue,
right,
no surprises,
nope,
and rehearsal comes. You've got that wrapped up. Reception happens. What, in your opinion, is the reward to the bride and groom and also to you when it's all said and done and everybody walks out of the reception?
Well, you remember I told you at the beginning of our conversation, I said, I always ask a couple, tell me what are the 3 adjectives you want your couples to use as they're leaving your venue. When they're leaving your reception that night, the party's over, the lights have come up, everybody's grabbing their coats, and on their way out the door, they're giving you the hug. What is the one adjective you want them to use the most? And typically, it's that they had fun, right, that it was an unforgettable party, that it was they've never experienced a wedding reception, which I love that one. I've never experienced a wedding reception because that tells me I did my job. So the reward is that the couples get all the praise for hiring me or hiring the DJ that created that. I mean, whether it's me or someone else, they're getting the praise. Yeah, I'm a great party thrower. Yes, I am. For me, it's the reward of knowing, first off, that I did a job well done. I love that. As I said, my favorite is when I hear somebody say, I have never experienced anything like that. But also it's the reward of the referrals that come afterwards, of the people that say, no, you don't want to just any DJ. You want to talk to Ron, about what he does.
That to just simply be the natural outcome.
I think that that's a natural plan. I mean, yeah, obviously, the day that you start making it about yourself is the day that you're going to lose, because then it's not about the bride and groom anymore. You're putting the spotlight totally on yourself, and you're going to just want them all on my side. I don't want people saying, I want the wedding professionals to refer me as well. Say, hey, you need to be working with Ron, or I've never seen a DJ do something like this before. You need to. Yeah, that's what it is. So, it's been a lot of fun, and you actually came up with some really good questions.
Well, thank you.
And I just kind of
thank you, including the one that wasn't on the list. That worked.
All of those as well. So
okay.
So anyway, before we wrap this, I did want to learn more about how I can pull this off. Give me some more. Obviously, in the amount of time we have, I can't nail down every detail for you in this time. So if you want to discuss it in further detail, reach out to me. You can reach me at Ron Ruth, RUTH, at discjockeynews.com. Ron Ruth at discjockeynews.com. reach out to me through that email address. Tell me, I want to learn more, and we can set up a complimentary time to sit down and talk about your business and maybe some of the things you. At any rate, it's been fun talking to you.
Thank you.
You know, one of these days we'll have to talk about how you officiate.
How I officiate.
Yeah, how you.
I officiate similar to how you DJ.
Okay.
Yeah. So maybe one day we'll do that.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Okay.
All right. So this is Steve. Wave goodbye, Stephen. That's what we
goodbye.
do.
Goodbye.
Yeah, we
Okay.
just wave.
Okay.
Yeah. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
So I was clicking on the wrong window. You know,
Doing really, really well for lots of unexpected, odd reasons, but I'm doing really well.
excellent. I'm glad that you're able to join us tonight. I've been looking forward to we haven't talked in a long time, and you haven't been part of the DJNTV shows for a while, so it's great to have you back here tonight.
I've been possibly somewhat absent from the social medias and the scene online, but it has been a ridiculously busy year, and I guess I'll speak about some of those things and why they become so important to me. But yeah,
a little tick checkbox that I didn't get before we started streaming tonight that would allow us to capture the window like we typically do. There was a software upgrade, and I missed it. That's my bad. So what you're watching is a webcam picking up the Zoom window on my computer, and then my webcam on my computer picking up me. So this is this workaround. But hey, the audio is going to be clear, and we should have really good when smart guy knows when he remembers to check the box. You know, do you want to capture that screen? Yes or no? Ooh, no, I don't want to do that.
that is awesome.
So, but yeah, it's going to be a little not quite as nice as it would traditionally, but again, you'll be able to hear Dave and see him and such, so it'll work well. So, Dave, if you're ready to go, my friend, I'm going to shut my camera off and I'm going to give you the floor.
Sounds good. Thanks, John. All right, power up with some water. That's blurry because of these strange Zoom settings. Well, good evening, everyone. Wherever you might be, up in Canada, which is where I'm at, or down in the US, or elsewhere outside of North America. It's an honor to be here, and thanks to John again for giving me a little bit of space, and thank you to each of you as well for saying, you know what, yeah, I'm going to spend 30 minutes hanging out with this Dave Ternier guy. Time is our most valuable asset, and I don't take it lightly that you are here this evening. When John and I spoke, I basically told John that I've been running pretty deep down some pretty major side roads lately, new passions of mine. I didn't want to show up here like in this space with all of you, my colleagues, and continue to be distracted by those passions of mine, because I'll be straight up, they're distracting a lot these days. And I will speak about that. So John basically said, well, Dave, like, speak about following your passion, because you seem to be pretty good at doing that. So I don't know if that was a compliment or not, John. You know, meet Dave Ternier, who falls down a rabbit hole at the drop of a hat. But here we go. But John also does know something else about me, and that is that when I jump into something major, it isn't even close to halfway. Like, if I'm committed, it's all the way. So that's, I guess, what I want to speak about a little bit here this evening. How all the way, how committed are you to your passions? Be that your DJ company, be it something outside of your DJ company, because I think that really can be a big indicator of our success, your work and what you do. And I'll be honest, if I could bottle up exactly the how, the why I am this way, I would, and I'd give it to you. Like, here, have a bottle. But I can't. So I'm going to try, I guess, in another way here this evening. It should be acknowledged that I've been really fortunate to have had the freedom to go down the road of some of these distractions or passions of mine, if you will. And while I acknowledge that you and I might have different hurdles to get over and don't come from the same position, I really strongly believe there's still value in the notion that we should all be in with your DJ business. That might have to do with your family life or hobbies or volunteer work or some other form of something you do. Maybe it's something for pleasure or whatever the case. But whatever it is, I mean, if it isn't fully and completely thrilling you to be involved in, I would urge maybe time for a little self-reflection. But on the other hand, if there's that thing that you've always wanted to try, you'd maybe get into it, that you should get into it, pardon me, because maybe it'll become that new passion that you had no idea would have the potential to change your life, as maybe one is that I'm getting into right now, or have really gotten into over the last year. So I'm going to touch on a few of the things I've just mentioned, my DJ business and the DJ industry in general, and the role that passion plays in it. And I want to illustrate this because I don't know maybe if everybody has acknowledged this in the people they maybe look up to. And I'm also going to speak about some of the hobbies, other jobs, and volunteerism that I participate in that have led me to discover new passions that I had no idea would exist with the level of importance that they do for me today. I also want tonight to be a discussion about how you follow your passion, because for those who've seen me on DJNTV before, I like to interact with the YouTube comments and with the Facebook comments. I know this is streaming on many different platforms tonight, a lot more than just YouTube and Facebook, Twitch, I believe, and a whole host of others. But I only have on my screen running the YouTube comments and the Facebook comments. So I would like part of tonight to be a discussion that might be within your work life or in your hobby or volunteer life. I want you to speak about passions. I want you to make comments on what I'm saying, and then hopefully at some point, maybe I can answer some questions about this topic to the best of my abilities. I mean, I don't know what I have to share, honestly, other than maybe some perspective on how I've lived a couple of moments and things out in my life and done so with passion. But then again, whenever I listen to the often multi-hour Tim Ferriss show podcast interviews, I mean, most of them are just that. People just sharing, what they've done in life and how they've done it without any real specific narrative. And I get incredible satisfaction and encouragement truly for life from those podcast interviews from the most unexpected places. Side note, if you jump into a Tim Ferriss episode, the mistake I make is when I read the description. That's a mistake. Don't read the description. Just listen. It doesn't matter if the person has nothing to do with your interest or life at all. I have found some of the greatest nuggets in those interviews that I might otherwise have skipped. So let's talk about in the DJ industry, the DJ business. I do want to make this, hopefully mostly about that. By the way, side note, I'm just going to jump over to the YouTube comments here. I'm just going to say hello, and it's from This is Dave. You're going to notice my handle on YouTube is not the normal handle, and that's because I'm logged into a different YouTube account tonight that has to do with one of my passion projects. That was not on purpose, but I thought I'd better jump in there and do that now just in case I forget later and I'm replying to somebody. But anyway, let's see. There we go. Okay. So when it comes to my work in the DJ industry, and I'd love for you all just to, think about yourself when I'm speaking about this type of thing. But when it comes to my work in the DJ industry, I have been told over and over by clients and by fellow wedding industry professionals that it's my passion for what I do that gets people to connect with me and with my work. It's really good feeling. It's a really good feeling hearing someone, acknowledge and say something like that. I think it's also a really important measure of validation, validation for what one does, to be told you're obviously really passionate about you. That's essentially what somebody is saying when they say that. So I would ask for everybody just to pause for a minute. You are about something. Are you recognized for being passionate about a particular part of your work, or maybe they just speak about it generally? That's a really important question, I think, to ask ourselves. And in case anybody's thinking it, I don't want anybody to use their personality type as a means for maybe saying that people don't seem to connect with your passion. I mean, at my core, I'm an introvert. But when you get me going on something I love, it just all comes spilling out. That said, this line of work in the DJ industry, I'm going to steer off of that for a quick second, is the first line of work where that genuine passion, without the over-the-top, grandiose embellishments of a personality, this is the first line of work where that has truly come out. Prior to this, my full-time career was in furniture sales, for those that don't know. That was 13 years ago and before. And as I was thinking about, this discussion that we were going to have here tonight, I realized that while furniture sales is honestly, don't laugh, but honestly is a job that I miss every single day, I hadn't actually connected back then with my authentic self like I feel I have today. In fact, nowhere close. I mean, I think about the interactions I had with my customers, with my many great customers, which, I had incredible customers to deal with. But I think about the interactions that I had with them back then, and I wonder who the Dave Ternier of furniture sales would be today, with who I am today, rather than the Dave Ternier that I was 13 plus years ago. They would be two vastly different people. And part of me is, wish I could jump back into that world and just see what difference I would have made and see how, if it would have changed, how that went for me. But it is truly a job I really, really enjoyed. But boy, I was a very different person back then. I've spent many, many hours reflecting on the topic of cultivating passion within folks in our industry. And it's something I wish I had a magic bullet for. But maybe it's that pursuing and ultimately finding something to be passionate about that is the tough but required part. Passion, I would say, can look like a lot of different things in our industry. It can look very different than the type of work that I do. I mean, I know a few DJs, one in particular here in Manitoba, who is relentlessly passionate about his musical knowledge. I mean, this one individual is so passionate that he's researched the top 40 charts and cataloged his music accordingly to those charts for something like the last 70 decades. John, I'll have to share his name with you. He may be an interesting choice for a show one day or a featured guest. Combine that passion of his with his passion for mixing relentlessly well, and his passion comes through in his performance. He truly has people running down memory lane and experiencing music in a way they never have before. And it's because of his combined passion of musical knowledge and mixing. It is those two specific parts of the many, many jobs that a DJ has. It is those two things that he's really, really passionate about. And he's chosen to, really dedicate the larger portion of his life finessing and becoming, the greatest version of himself he can be with respect to those. Another good example is I used to host a show here on DJNTV with a guy and great friend who was incredibly passionate about lighting. I mean, I don't think there are a whole lot of people in our industry who don't know about the incredible work that Jeremy Breck does. I mean, jump onto his website, have a conversation with him. His passion for lighting, among other things, is incredible, and it comes out, almost instantly. Now, what about passion for geeking out about sound? Have you ever heard of a guy named, what's his name again? Ben Stowe? Honestly, I challenge you to find another human being on planet Earth more passionate about sound. Are there people who might be more knowledgeable about sound? Maybe, but are they as passionate about it? That's, Ben is just a shining example of somebody who's really, really passionate about something, and it comes through instantly. You only have to talk to Ben for 5 minutes before you get it, before you realize it. And I think there's a lot to consider there in what we do. If we reflect on somebody like Ben. I'm certainly no psychological expert on this matter, or this would be a much tighter, much more compelling presentation. But I do believe that two important components to passion and being passionate about something are, number one, committing without hesitation whatsoever to that something that really interests you and that you really, truly care about. And number two, sharing or expressing the outcome of that commitment to that thing you love. So number one, really committing like head first into that thing that interests you and that you really care about. And then finding a way to express that to people that really connects with them. So I love connecting with people. For those who have met me at a DJ conference or what have you, I am admittedly sometimes not the greatest with names, But I love connecting with people. I mean, it's really my passion in this industry. I've undertaken many elements of training to ensure that I can better connect with people, from performance-based workshops, and I mean vocal performance-based workshops, to working on better understanding people and their personality and what makes them tick, and so on and so forth. Those two things have allowed me to pursue my passion of really connecting with people and who they are and how I can then tell their story and all of this type of stuff. And that commitment to my passion of loving connecting with people comes out when I'm in a sales consultation. It comes out when I am putting myself there in front of potential clients who are considering hiring me for their wedding, which I'll be doing very happily Thursday afternoon, I believe it is this week. Consult planned. I'm excited. Given a microphone, or where I show up with my microphone and do what I do for that event. But it really allows me to connect with people in a way, and they genuinely get that I can't wait to learn everything about them, and of course share equally and appropriately about myself, so that we may find mutual elements that allow us to connect. And the same is true, of course, of the DJ I mentioned above, who loves music history. And no, I'm not talking about Mike Walter. I'm talking about James, a DJ here in Manitoba, although Mike Walter would represent that very well also. But in the case of James, I mean, every one of his clients knows this about him. This is one of the reasons people hire him. And if they weren't aware, and of course, Jeremy's clients, they know rapidly how much he loves lighting design, loves it like probably no other person they will ever meet. Now that's critically important, because if they go to meet with other lighting designers who don't carry that same passion as Jeremy, what's going to happen? They're probably going to contract Jeremy to help them out. That's really important. Passion is an incredible, I don't want to say tool in sales, because that makes it sound manipulative, but it is an incredible asset when it comes to communicating what you do and giving people the confidence to say, yeah, you're the person for me. And of course, everyone knows how passionate about sound that Ben is, because he shares that passion, not only here on this channel with us, but at conferences, in conversations, when you reach out to him on Facebook, whatever the aspect of it might be. So kind of going back to those questions I asked off the start, what element of your work, slightly different, I guess, than the questions I asked at the start, what element of your work are you endlessly passionate about? Have you taken the time? Have you committed to letting that become an integral part of you, such that those around you, peers, potential clients, such that they recognize that? For anybody that's watching, and I have the YouTube stream open right now, do any of you have a particular part of your DJ work that you are really, really passionate about? I mean, for me, it's the connecting with people. It is the discovering who people are, learning who they are. With the other examples of the DJs I mentioned earlier, I referenced what I believe, anyway, I haven't reached out and checked with them, but what I believe are their specific passions. They may have other passions, of course, as well, but what element of your work are you particularly by that in a way that you really and truly believe? I don't think that's a bad thing, but I think it's maybe an opportunity for growth. Gosh, Dave asked that question. I'm not sure. That's not a bad thing, because it is maybe a moment where you learn something about yourself. I was reading a Harvard Business Review on the topic of this earlier. It's for those who are interested, it's an article called 3 Reasons It's So Hard to Follow Your Passion. And they reference, a survey of people who do full-time work that was across multiple fields, apparently. And it was staggering. Truly, we love to brag about how passionate we are about what we do. And I think that's fine, but I think sometimes we have to check ourselves and just go, okay, or am I just saying that? And I don't think there's anything wrong with acknowledging that. Something really critical, though, to acknowledge, and I think this is absolutely critical, is to recognize that passion does wane over time. Passion ebbs and flows, just like a lot of different things. And when that happens, look to what sustains your passion. Is something missing? Did something change? Did you change? I mean, my passion for what I do is in many respects fueled by generally working with some of the most amazing wedding clients. I mean, as I learn and connect, as I learn about and connect with the couples who I get to work with for weddings, that fuels my passion as I discover and get to meet more and more incredible people, because I go that next level to get to know them. And, you know, many of them become friends for long after their wedding day. I also, you know, I allow my passion to remain elevated by surrounding myself with the most authentically positive and helpful people in our industry. And I want you to notice how I didn't just say positive. I said authentically positive people. It's very easy for, you know, all of us to put on a positive, happy face and go, you know, hey, Dave, how's it going? Oh, great, Tom, doing well. Meanwhile, you know, life is falling apart behind the scenes. If I find those authentically positive people who you click with, who click with you, they, you know, to those who are married, I hope this is a part of your relationship, but, you know, having an incredibly supportive spouse is also something that is able to keep my passions fueled. You know, that positive reinforcement is huge. The opposite is poison for something that you're passionate about, and that can be really, really difficult. So recognize that passion can wane over time, and when it does, quite naturally, look to what sustains your passion. Go out and find those things. I mean, maybe it's something as simple as reading those past reviews that you've got that just gets you right fired up again. Those are all really important questions. Okay, so before on the YouTube channel, is that right? Is anybody commenting on the Facebook feed? No, not right now. Okay, that's okay. That is okay. Neil, I know you're watching. Nothing to comment on. So I briefly, I guess, want to just you necessarily care about my life, my personal life outside of DJing, but I share these can maybe become passionate about something outside of their DJ career if, you know, it's a job for them, or over this past year and a bit, it's been a really, really difficult job. It's been a struggle because we haven't been able to do that thing that many of us have done for many, many years, in some case, you know, decades. Maybe you need that passion, that source of fuel and energy, that being passionate about something can do. Maybe talking about this tonight, you know, I've had various aspects like volunteerism play a huge role in my life. They've all served incredible purposes as they've allowed me to use my experience that I gathered in my main working life and apply them somewhere else. And that has brought me a pile of joy. And you know, in most cases, I've gotten really passionate about it. Not in all of them. There have been some that I was like, I'll show up to this meeting, and it's important to acknowledge those. Now, to be clear, these are things that feed me in ways that money doesn't, because, you know, in many respects they don't pay, but they feed a very different and important part of me, who I am as a person. I mean, I guess you could say in many respects they feed my soul. And they keep me motivated. They keep me busy. They keep me focused on something, which I think is so, so critical. Many years ago, I got heavily involved with a local fire department. I was in the fire department for 8 years. And as I was the events guy, because that was my work, right? Is my work. They said, hey, would you take over the fundraising banquet? And you know, we ended up taking it from this small little $6,000 profit event, which was a pile of work and was truly like pulling teeth to get people to come out and what have you. And you know, in a span of 12 months, we transitioned that event into a single night gala banquet that, you know, in a small town of like 3,500 people. And that's an important number for context here. 3,500 people in this town, you know, at this single night event, it transitioned into becoming a $44,000 net profit event. Now, we can speak about fundraising and how valuable, especially you and I in the events world, can be in that regard. We'll leave that topic for another night, maybe, or reach out to folks like Jeff in Wisconsin. I'm forgetting last name now, but incredible work in the not-for-profit world. I've also gotten incredibly passionate about DJ industry and DJ associations. I spent 5 years with the CPDGA, and I cannot tell you how valuable that was for me. That was a large commitment at the national executive level, but it was an incredible experience for me. And, I hope I was able to do a bit of good work while I was there also. But it was something I was incredibly passionate about. And if we're DJs, that's a great natural place to bring your passion for DJing is to that level. And most recently, my two big rabbit holes I've gone down recently are a project called Country of the Week, which is something I've become really, really passionate about. And another organization that I'm now the chairperson of called Valley Life Recreation, and we're getting involved in trails development. And I'll be honest with you, I've never been more passionate about projects like that before. It has come to feed me in so many ways. And I look at these things as being opportunities to learn new skills, but also contribute to society in some helpful manner, but also to, potentially find that next thing. Maybe some income can come from it. And I just, my work with Country of the Week it's just a small project my girls and I started many years ago. And it was an example of me following my passion for, country names and where they are and what makes them special and what makes them tick. And talking about, following your world through a website that they can sign up and run their own family through without having to do the endless amounts of work that I do every week on it. Trails development through Valley Life Recreation. I'm the chair of a group that is attempting to build a $650,000 trail park in this community. And it following that passion has been such a joy because I'd never been into mountain biking before, got into it like 4 years ago. And I have unexpectedly found something that has become such an important part of my life and may truly be changing my life. I've said to some people, I'm like, man, if I could go full time into trails development tomorrow, I would. That's a tall order because, most of that work is volunteer work, but I've met a whole group of people who are also very passionate about this, and I'm able to bring my unique experience managing events and organization management, particularly my experience from the CPDGA, into that world in a way that is connecting me with new people in ways that I never thought possible. So what I'd like to know is, we have some YouTube comments. Got it. I'm buffering quite a bit on YouTube, so hopefully that's an answer to your question. Oh, goodness. Neil is passionate about growth. That is an incredible thing to be passionate about. Now, does that have a limit? No, that's an incredible thing to be passionate about. Passionate about growing your business, growing your company. That's an incredible thing to be passionate about. Is that a passion that people see and experience and connect with in a good way, and they want to further surround themselves, with that part of you in your work. Now, Neil, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but you've also got many great employees. And, how does one identify passion in employees? Maybe that is probably a topic for maybe another night, or maybe it's perfectly relevant here if you've got some comments to share, Neil. But Karen says, I think I have too many passions. That is something that it can be a struggle as well. I've wondered about that in the past. Finding one or two things to be really strongly passionate about can be a chore for sure. I have a pile of interests. They range across a wide gamut of industries, and I guess a wide spectrum is maybe the best way to put it. So I feel your pain, Karen. I have too many passions. Isolate, focus on those one or two things maybe, and go down that road. And I do apologize for the buffering. I hope that's not on my end. In any case, John, what are you passionate about?
You know, that passion of being there to help the industry.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
is really
yeah,
kind
for
of
sure.
something that you know, that's why we started the Disc Jockey News. That's why we started. Let's turn that up a little bit more. We started the Association of Minnesota was really to help DJs, and that initially was to help DJs, and then it became a viable option. So it really kind of has floated between in that area over the years.
Yeah, and I mean, I think many people would when they think of passion in the DJ industry, they would probably think of people like like Mark Farrell, like Randy Bartlett, like Peter Murray, right? I mean, there's no question what those individuals are passionate about. I mean, they wear it on their sleeve as much as anybody. And I guess maybe a part of me is like, gosh, could we all commit to something and be that passionate about something? And maybe why don't we encourage more of that?
And I think that there's so many different aspects of what we do that a person can be passionate about. It could be passionate about helping people with their wedding day. It could be passionate about mixing music, introducing new songs to people, depending upon there's just so many variables to what we do. And that's one of those little things that make it more difficult to try to get unity within the industry and say, we're excited to go do something all together. Ready, let's go. And they're like, yeah, well, see, I'm really only passionate about playing 80s music, and it's got to be left-handed artists. I'm really passionate about left-handed artists. So if you got that, I'm good. Yeah.
Karen just mentioned in the YouTube chat here, helping DJs is what fueled Perfect Portals. That's a great example of a passion then being turned into something, that became greater than the thing itself.
Oh, for sure.
And Neil says byproduct of growth is not just growth in my own business, but also in others in personal lives. I'm pumped when people have wins in their own lives. 100%, Neil. I mean, going back to, my passion that I referenced earlier of just, connecting with people. Equal to that is being able to create environments where people can connect with each other. I remember a specific moment in Vegas at a conference a number of years ago where I consciously remember, gosh, that person that I know and that person, I'll bet you they would connect really well. And I remember just moments later, we were all in a group and I just introduced the two of them. And about half an hour later, I got the biggest thrill of my life when I happened to look over to the side, and these two guys alone were sitting at the bar, deep in conversation with each other. And I was like, God, that's good. Now that's a win. And I mean, that's just, in many respects, that was my work with the DJ Association as well, was, how can I connect more people to one another so that they get to glean what I have from so many people.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. Dave, I
appreciate you having me here, John. And speaking about passion, I mean, I didn't want to go too far down the rabbit holes of my life right now, but it's I found some incredible things to be passionate about, and I have to honestly say, I mean, they have kept me afloat in mental ways over this last year and a half that, Lord, I don't want to imagine what I would have been without those things, because they really created a focus for me that has been so valuable for me.
Yeah, and in this day and age, that's hugely valuable.
100% it is. Yeah. So, I mean, if anybody's left watching, I would encourage you. I mean, just if you don't have that thing outside of your work, go and find that thing, because it is incredible how much life that can give you when it comes to your work job that, over the last year has been a bit of a struggle, and we don't need to, bemoan that fact. That's been done enough, but, go out and find that external source of life and energy through something you can be passionate about, and, connect with me when you do, please.
Yeah, great stuff. Dave, thank you much for being with it. And thank you guys for being with us tonight. I'm going to put in the chat here, which you'll see it before you hear it because of the delay. But Howie and the crew are going to be doing a recording here in just a little bit in the chill room, djntv.com/chill. So you guys can bounce out there and catch that and kind of talk about the show and things you might have picked up tonight in the conversations. And we'll catch you next month. We'll be doing, I believe it's December 13th, so it must be about November 15th or something, somewhere in that ballpark, but it's in the teens. That'll be our next DJNTV training night. So, Dave, thank you again for being with us tonight.
Awesome. Thanks, John. Take care, everybody. It's been great to see you all.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.